What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today I did want to talk about something I've been thinking about for a minute now when it does come to like Motorfest, or I guess you could probably say it has to do with many racing games that can really benefit from these features, because I do feel like it would make a lot more players log on, probably more often do them, and most likely compete, make extra money and stuff like that, but also try to climb in the leaderboards and all that. Kind of similar to like the Summit, but most likely even another thing that does reset weekly that is also going to be in Motorfest or other racing games. That is going to be the weekly time trials on Gran Turismo 7, and I'm also going to talk about the weekly time trials on Grand Theft Auto Online. We all do know they're probably going to be drastically different, so I am going to talk about how each of them could work in basically any racing game, but I do feel like this could really benefit something like Motorfest to where we're pretty much only going to have these summits, you do it, and then that is basically it. But why not have even more stuff that is going to bring players in weekly? Now, right off the bat, though, I do want to mention I am curious to know what everybody does think about having a weekly challenge type of thing in Motorfest or even in more racing games, to where you're pretty much going to have to log on, compete, or do that, get the special money, then you'll have the reset the week after. Now, the first thing I do want to discuss, though, is going to be the Gran Turismo 7 side of it, because I really do like the way the online time trials are set up on there. Now, I'm sure everyone probably does know at this point that I am going to be fairly new to Gran Turismo 7, and in fact, it's my first Gran Turismo game. Yes, you were hearing that right. I've never played 1 through 6. I might end up having to do that after playing the 7th one, but playing this every week, guys, I'm now logging on, doing the weekly online time trials, and I really am enjoying them. In fact, I've even started doing videos on them every Friday because I'm having that much fun going around the tracks or, learning them, trying to get into gold and stuff like that. It's pretty dang amazing. Now, we all do know in order to get in the gold, it's going to be the top 3%. It's going to have a set time. You can get 2 million if you get into it, and the only way that's going to go down is if the top world record time or whatever is going to go down if the players do end up beating it. Could drop like 0.20, 0.100ths of a second in that entire 2 week span or whatever. On this game or like Motorfest or like a racing game, probably doing a weekly one would be great. That way players can constantly get on there, make some money and do stuff. But regardless though, if you're past the 3% mark, you're then going to be in silver. You are going to get yourself around $1 million, which is still really great. If you log on, do that, you'll get yourself a million every single week by doing that. And I feel like in ways it would be a great way to bring players into the game weekly. That way they can log on and go, okay, well, what's this week's time trial going to be? It's this race. You have to get this time on it or something like that. Now, the thing is about the time trials on Gran Turismo, guys, everybody knows, but they're not going to be the easiest things to do. And in fact, I would say getting gold is probably going to take a lot of driving skill like practice. You are most likely not going to jump in there first try and get gold unless you're probably going to be incredibly good, or you most likely know the tracks. You've been playing the game for a very long time. That would make sense. You probably know the car you have to use. You're like, oh, this is going to be the Ferrari GR3 car or something. I know this thing. It's one of my favorites. You are then most likely going to know that car great. You're then going to go, okay, well, I love this track, so you're probably going to do incredibly good on it. For me, though, I'm probably going to have to jump in, drive the car a bit, go around the track probably 15, 20 times in practice, and then boom, I'll end up getting gold on it. Sometimes could be less, sometimes could be more, like I might end up enjoying the race or something, but regardless though, I feel like it would be a great challenge having that in there, and if you had something like that in Motorfest or something, like, yeah, let's say you don't have to have money or something, maybe throw in some vanity items in there, maybe throw in some like part sets, I don't know, make it interesting. Like, yeah, if you had a timer on that, it's probably going to be fairly difficult to do it, so you're probably going to want some decent rewards. Maybe throw in like, maybe it can give you around 300,000 XP and $1 million on top of it. Maybe you might not actually want the money or something. You can turn that into XP, get like 1 million XP or something, go up 10 levels a week or something like that in Motorfest. Wouldn't that be kind of dope? Being able to get different rewards, throw in some part sets in there, maybe some special vanity items or something like that, throw in like a bundle, give players a reason to really get on the game, play some of these events, and I feel like it would bring a lot of players together. It would be really fun to do stuff like this, and again, it would always bring players on weekly to do it. We all do know, yeah, we're going to have the summits, we're going to have certain things like that, yeah, they're going to bring you on the game, but once that's over, You really don't have to go back to it. Now, if you add something on top of the summits, though, like, yeah, you do the summits, then boom, you also have these special time trials on top of it. That is going to give players even more content to go after, things to do, really is going to make the game even more fun. And if other racing games and Motorfest and stuff like that were to follow something like the Gran Turismo 7 time trials, maybe they could have it similar to where you're going to have this specific race, you have to use this specific car. You can't add any like pro settings to it. You can't do anything special to it. It's going to come down to driving that car on that specific event, being the fastest you can do with it, and then boom, you'll get rewarded if you can get into that said like top 3% or whatever the gold time on that event is going to be. Wouldn't that be pretty dope, man? I would have so much fun doing that every single week in Motorfest, or again, pretty much any other racing game giving you a reason to play it more often, I think is always going to be a great factor. But with that being said though, let's now flip this over to the Grand Theft Auto Online time trial portion of it, to where I feel like this could also work very well in racing games. Now, we all do know that, yeah, Gran Turismo 7 is probably going to be very intense. You are definitely going to have to be at the top of your game to get gold in that, to where if you look at something like Grand Theft Auto, you could pretty much pick any vehicle you want. You can use overpowered cars, pretty much whatever you would like. Jump into that time trial, beat that in that specific time, and boom, that is basically it. It's going to be over till the next week. Would you guys also prefer something like this over how Gran Turismo is? To be honest, I kind of think both could probably work, but that would also be insane to have that. Like, yeah, you could have the intense time trial, then something that's random, beat that time limit, boom, you get the money, then the other one could be like intense or something. That could also work, but the ones in Grand Theft Auto, guys, I feel like were always going to be fun to do. I was legitimately logging on to Grand Theft Auto probably every single Thursday for well over probably something like 2 years, doing the time trials every single week. I would pick different vehicles. I was also doing videos back then on them. Always enjoyed doing them. Then they added more time trials, like we had the RC Bandito one. We also had like the special works with like the faster cars and stuff, which something like that could work. Maybe you could have like a special time trial in Motorfest to where it's like, okay, you have a regular car, no pro settings, you know, no parts or anything, it's stock, or it's going to be maxed out but no like specific gold parts on it. You have to get this time, then boom, you get it. Then they can have another one to where you can use pro settings, you can have your parts on it, and it's also going to be a bit more intense in that aspect. Maybe something like that could also work. This is something I have been thinking about because I have been logging on to both games a bit. Really, I've been pretty much playing more Gran Turismo than Grand Theft Auto, but even then, I still get on Grand Theft Auto, do some of the time trials, because guess what? Even to this day, it's going to be some free money you can get every single week by doing it. Normally, it could probably take around 5 to 10 minutes to get that time trial or both of them done, and I would say GTA is probably going to be much easier in that aspect, because it's going to be way more lenient than something like Gran Turismo, to where you might have to jump into that time trial, take probably 30, 40, 50 minutes on it, maybe do like a good timer in silver. You're like, okay, you know what? I have 2 weeks. Let me come back to this another day. I'll try it again. I'll improve a bit. So there's going to be that there, that yeah, it's going to be a tad more difficult than being able to jump on the time trial, get it done in probably 10 minutes. Which, don't get me wrong, I would say people could probably do that on Gran Turismo. Like, there's probably very high skill players that could easily do that. Would not doubt it. In fact, I probably see that every time I do it. When I log on at 2 a.m. when it does reset, I check it out, I do some runs on it, and I could tell people are already posting some insane times. So yeah, it's going to be there. But in that aspect, if players don't want to deal with the insane intenseness of it, then have something like Grand Theft Auto, to where you're going to have online time trials. You can get free money again, also, you know, parts, maybe vanities and all that stuff in Motorfest, or, you know, adding other things to really get players involved in it that want to play it weekly. But at the end of the day, it's going to be another piece of content people can enjoy that is going to reset, give you rewards, and give a player a reason to do it. And for me, though, that's probably the biggest thing I was looking at on both sides. Having something like the Gran Turismo 7 design, or even Grand Theft Auto, or who knows, have something like both of them in there. That way players want to get onto the game, play it, and it's really going to give even more people a reason to log onto it. I would like to know what y'all think about this in the comments below. Which one would you guys rather have, the Gran Turismo 7 design to where it's going to be really intense, or would you rather have like something like the Gran Turismo 7 one in there, and something like the GTA Online to where it's going to be intense but also fun, also very lenient on what you can use in these said time trials or however they do it to make the game even more entertaining on a weekly level? I'm curious to know what y'all think about this in the comments below.